Hi guys, welcome to Generation Mingle. Today's topic is AI versus humanity. As always, between the boomers and Gen Z, we have in that topic today discussing and learning how to proceed with the life being in the era of AI. My name is B, I'm your host, and welcome Suzette, my co-host. Hello, darling.
Hi. Hello. How are you this week?
I am good. We are quiet, wire up, guys. Our last podcast have been very interesting. We have received, oh my gosh, I think 300 comments on that topic of AI and having difficulty to find jobs for all generation. We have a letter from a Gen Z, but so many of you have chipped in and explained your situation, what was amazing, because this is why we create that podcast, right? To learn from each other. So just to narrow it down, I have decided with Suzette to make some research, right? And we went down and checked different articles. And I have one that I want to just reset quickly from the Washington Post. So according to them, overall hiring remains near the lowest level since 2014, okay? While the unemployment rate holds at ground of 4.3%. Many, I had to say that, but many white-collar industries are still experiencing downsizing, making the, search for new corporate or a prestigious career more difficult for everyone, okay? So bottom line, the breakdown reveals exactly how the labor landscape is unfolding per Washington Post, that here it is, okay? The national outlook job to recovering looks pretty good for a couple of, occupations such as healthcare, transportation, and logistics. Okay, the sector when it's really hard fields will be again healthcare. You would not believe home care services. Yes, we have the elderly now in the houses, right? And the logistics, and has incredible growth. So that's now where we see in also what I have learned. Okay, the ghost jobs. And I never understood that, but the ghost jobs are permanently is required by the company to post, new position, but the positions are hanging there forever. Nobody gets hired.
That's crazy.
Right? But I think you heard about something similar, right? That position was advertised and still there, and nobody's getting hired forever.
And that's crazy because, you're working so hard at perfecting your resume, cover letters, all for this job that you're hoping, praying that
you
it's
just
going
said
to happen,
that.
And there you are. The
But
job's
listen to
never
this.
even going to be filled.
Listen to this. What is in the other article I read from Washington Post? There is another problem with the hyper competition for the jobs. Do you know why they call hyper competitions right now?
No.
Because majority, or if not all of it, people that looking for position, I don't blame them, using AI. So those resumes are perfect to perfection. So all these, headhunters or the job career offices or even human resources, if they still exist, they have extremely hard to make that selection because those resumes are to perfection, right? So this is another problem. Now, the jobs that really struggling is technology, surprising to me, okay, law, okay, and then we have a media and telecom. That's where the occupations are extremely struggling right now. People have a job, and we spoke about this before. The problem is because, again, they're beginners, right? Positions have been eliminated by AI.
Yeah.
So I don't know where is the next steps for them, right? Do you think the companies are ready for that?
I just don't understand, only because some of the experience I've had with AI is it's not perfect. There's a lot of silly things that you see that AI just doesn't, because they don't have the critical thinking skills of a human, that they miss things. Or I saw a video the other day, this lady was sawing something and the saw was in the air and the object was 3 inches below it. So, it's funny. So you see AI it doesn't always get it right.
Right. No, the same with the recipes and everything else that we have been looking at is not. So we will talk in depth in that, but I have researched a little bit something, as everybody knows, my accent is European. So I researched something, what the professors and educators, looking at in the future. So just mid one sentences, they said that basically the positions will be very important and popular, okay, for the new generation or even existing generation to educate themselves not only in AI, like everybody thinking you have to know the knowledge in AI, but in communication skills, to be able to translate the AI, what really mean to the rest of the folks. So we'll be like a bridge between AI and making the decisions, because like you said, the humans, we still need them. Do the position will be minimized? Yes. So like we spoke before, for example, in the law office, when you have 10 lawyers or 20 lawyers working for a larger corporation, right? We have 5 or 6 paralegals working from them. But with the AI, they need only 2 to oversee the AI and translate that to bridge over to, the lawyer or whatever is necessary. Yes, will be less. But that was the advice, to look into that, to have that perfect communication from AI to humanity. But saying that, I do have a short comment from Gen Z from the previous podcast for us. So listen to this. Dear GM, I graduated from college 6 months ago, and I am 23 years old. Since then, I have applied for over 800 jobs. Wow. Now, here's what's coming, the kicker in all of that. Not dream jobs, not career jobs, any jobs, office jobs, retail jobs, warehouse jobs, shelf stocker jobs. Most never respond. Some tell me I am overqualified. Others tell me I don't have enough experience. How can both be true? My parents keep asking what my plan is. Honestly, I thought getting a degree was the plan. Now I'm living at home, watching AI do things we were told humans would always do. I don't need a mansion. I don't need luxury. I just want a chance to start my life.
That's crazy. Right? So, and you see that all the time. I've seen people that I have, acquaintances who they're looking for jobs. And that was one of the things one particular person was saying. She's like, I'm so tired of being told that I'm overqualified. Right. It's like, do these people not understand I need a job?
Right.
And so I can totally understand. And I think I also read an article at one point in time where they were saying that the unemployment rate is higher amongst college graduates right now than it is high school kids.
Because, again, back to the steps that I believe, we spoke about this before on the last podcast, that Gen Z, I heard the opinion, I have read the opinion from boomers, millennials, and Gen Xers, maybe not as much from millennials, that Gen Z is the only generation that struggle and have no opportunity to find a job, right? Or that they can't, or that they lazy, or that whatever is said, or that they're weird. No, guys. I'm not sure, how the boomers are, but for me as a Gen Xer, I'm going back in my mind when I read those comments from our last podcast, and what's happened to us, Susan, right? Yeah. We have been working, and suddenly there was an internet.
Yep.
Suddenly the fax were eliminated. Now we're sending everything through the computer. Right. Now we have speed internet. Then we have a Wi-Fi television. Then we have a cell phones. Then we have the super cell phones. Now we have the watches. Now we're calling through the watches people. I have adjusted my life through entire time, but it took a little bit longer, so I was permitted to take a breath and adjust.
Right. Well, we didn't grow up in that generation.
But Generation Z doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? So what's happened to Gen Z?
I don't know. I mean,
they grow up, they got on the phone, went to college, and suddenly AI is there.
Right. And so, who would have ever thought?
Exactly.
I mean, it was always talk of it, but again, I think that a lot of times we don't think that it's ever going to come to fruition, and boom, here we are. Like, we're in that moment now, and it's scary. And it's even, I think, scarier for the Gen Z, the Gen Xers and the boomers, because there's still a lot of boomers that are still working because they can't fully retire because they don't make enough money to retire.
Or they went back to work and looking for work. Yeah. Talking about this question, when a couple of years ago we have that downfall couple, say 2008, we have a problems. Many of retirees went back to work, and when you went to the shops like Ross, TJ Maxx, you have seen older generation being at the cashier register.
Yeah.
I love those shops. I love to save money. Right. This time when you go to the shops, do you know who is behind the counter? kids,
yeah, young.
22, 23-year-old, because this is the entry-level jobs that they still fill in. So bless the hearts, I see them, but I don't understand how the boomers or the Gen Xers or the millennial, can find the jobs. It's very difficult. From everything that I see or that I understand, to me is, if you know somebody somewhere, you get a job.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It's helpful, right? Yeah. I have a friend texting me the other day, my gosh, I'm so happy my son that is 23 years old got incredible entry position, electrician position in Reno to, some huge industry, tech industry that they're building up there, because her boyfriend promote his name with his company that he just got jobs. So they both just moved last week, packed the bags and moved just for the jobs, So I understand Gen Z, and I decline any critic for them. Because in all generation has people not adequate, lazy, and complainers. It's our generation and has been previous generation as well. So it's not just the Gen Z. Gen Z is in shock, and I completely understand them. I believe you have some comments from, I think, Millennial on that as well, on that topic that we have been chatting, right?
Yes. So this is Dear Generation Mingle. I did everything right. College, career, marriage. Now at 35, I'm working 2 jobs and still wondering if we'll make rent next month. Last year, our landlord raised the rent by $600. This year, they're talking about another increase. My wife and I make more money than our parents did at our age, yet somehow we feel poorer. We're not saving, we're not investing, we're surviving. The hardest part is realizing that one unexpected expense could erase years of hard work. I used to worry about building wealth. Now I worry about keeping a roof over my family's head. I thought hard work would be enough. Joe. He was a Gen Xer.
Yeah. So, this is what we're talking about, right? It's not only the Generation Z, yes, all generations are affected. But I have made also some different research, okay? I went actually and, let's go, look in the perspective for millennials and also Gen Xers, right? Perspective, what are the jobs that actually will be growing? Because we're talking about elimination, which putting us really in very anxious and depressing state. We are looking not only AI situation, but we look in the financial aspect, right? Like this gentleman here. So if AI affecting our jobs and our style of living, so I decide, let's go and check what the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics telling us, right? What are the fastest growing jobs? So strictly here, they have been having like analysis since 2024, 10 years to 2034. So the primary job that's going to be growing on, at least 50% is wind turbine service technicians. Okay? And the startup with that minimum is $62,000 some. Okay? Then the next one was solar photovoltaic installers. Okay, and those are they growing by 42%. Okay, right now the minimum startup pay is $51,000. No, it's not a lot, but it's a future, right? Then of course we know that nurse practitioner has been always popular. They're still growing and will grow to 2034 by 40%. A data scientist, 34% growth, and they start is $100,000 a year. Okay, incredible. And then information security analyst. We have been talking about security all the time. They still have a growth of 29%. And you can guys go by yourself and check. I don't need to say more, but those last jobs, actually the wind turbines and solar installers are less, but every single one that I just mentioned below is over $100,000. That's pretty good. Okay, so this is just my recommendation to look into that, right? To check what is the growth, what's going on up there. And I have been also seeing on business from Bloomberg conversation. If you would ask yourself, right, what state actually is more proactive if it's coming in green energy, you will throw immediately California, right? No, it's not. Actually, it's Texas.
Oh, wow.
Incredible. Just for one reason, because California has huge rules, and you have to jump the hoops to sign all the papers. Where Texas, you want it, you got it. So they are incredible, and that's where the jobs with the wind turbines and solar installers are so popular. And I have known many young individuals that changed the profession and got some training in engineering and went there for the basic jobs. So saying that, everyone that feels strong, and has the possibility. And you guys, you have to look for the options. Unfortunately, you have to adjust. We have been I'm sorry to say to Gen Z, but we have been adjusting ourselves all our lives.
Yeah, I mean,
all our lives, right? We did. So for Gen Z, is a little bit fast track.
Yeah.
And you have to quickly look out there what is available, right? Never mind your degree. What's available to keep you going. And if you have to move out of state, this is what you do. I know it's hard to break family, but just go. Pack your bags and go and start. And you have to start over. You start over, but just peace of mind, right?
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, and that's one of the things I think we all need to look at is, unfortunately, you have to adjust, and that's not easy for us to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow because, you know, to up and change your whole life by moving for a job. But I mean, in the world today, unfortunately, that's the case.
That's the new
because
thing. Because
again, you know, as this gentleman said, you know, the rising cost of everything, it's like, you're just trying to make it day to day at this point, let alone thinking about what retirement might be in, you know, 30 years. So
there is no time even to think about retirement.
No.
There is no time even to think, guys, of buying a home right now. Right now is the survival mode.
It is.
And to make you feel comfortable and safe. And that's whatever you have done from, you know, 17 years old until the 20 or the 21, and you finish already the degree, to just look on the process and, you know what, I need to do what's the best for me and just go for it, right? And if you have to change on the end of the road, they will change again. Okay, but do not wrap yourself in the fact that you have to own a home, because quite frankly, many people around the world, they're just renting places for the rest of their lives, and they okay, and they don't need to stress. It's more priority for them to spend beautiful vacations versus spending $100,000 down payment to purchase a place.
Well, and I know I follow Dave Ramsey. He's a big financial guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, but one of the things he said, and this was a great statement, is that when you own a home, your minimum payment every month is your mortgage. When you rent, your maximum payment every month is your rent. And we all want to own homes, but the reality is that to own a home is maintenance, and some of those things are really expensive to replace. When the air conditioner goes out, the hot water tanks go out, all of that stuff, where thankfully if you're renting, that's your landlord's problem. So that is one of the things I do see, that you know, sometimes it's just changing your mindset and understanding that you have to be where you're at that moment.
Well, that's all fine dandy, but keep in mind the rent increasing as well, right? So you have to balance. You have to balance that, right?
Agree.
But based again on that AI subjects and job issues and what people are going through, I wanted to introduce to our viewers and listeners that no, we do not just care and understand that only Generation Z has that problem. Okay, we all are in this again in the same basically spot. And you have a comment, I think, from our older generation that if you don't mind to throw it at us, what they have to say.
Yeah, it says, "Dear Generation Mingle, I never expected to be starting over at 50. My company automated my part of my department. Half my coworkers were gone within months. Now I'm competing for jobs against people half my age while trying to save for retirement. The future used to feel predictable. Now it feels temporary. I am wondering if experience still matters. Victoria."
On that, what Victoria just said, I'm going to say this, that I read the Princeton University article, and here what they found. Some occupations are far more exposed to the AI and others, especially jobs centered on information processing, right? Documentation, analysis, and the routine. So bottom line is that the research developed measures showing that AI impact varies significantly by occupation and industry rather than affecting everyone equally, right?
It's true.
So again, unfortunately, in her generation, she needs to adjust something, right? Like we all will have to, even in our profession, we also will have to affect everybody in medicine, law, in every single profession. We have to adjust how to now be productive with AI, okay? So the recent labor market studies suggest that the younger workers and the entry-level employees may face particular challenges because AI can perform some of the simple tasks that traditional helped people gain experience. Some evidence also showed reduced demand for novice workers and AI exposed fields. So again, when the Princeton University studies telling you that it's time for you to adjust, you have to. But I have to say one thing, the comment that we spoke before we start podcast today. I'm really becoming quite agitated when someone that has already position or that has company or is in that level of lifestyle that they're making 300, 400,000 a year.
Right.
Debating on that, what other people like bottom feeders like yourself and me have to do, it's quite agitating to me.
It is very agitating.
Because when you ask them, what have you done?
Right.
There is no answer. They have not done anything.
No, they don't have to.
Okay, no, not at least here, not those schools here, not the companies.
They're not worrying about 2 weeks from now whether they're going to be able to feed their kids or have a roof over their heads. So it's huge for, I mean, and we're talking about, you know, what probably 80% of the population is in our situation.
Right.
You know, those people making 300,000 and above
they don't see the changes.
I mean, I don't even honestly consider them in a decision I make because they're so far removed from our situation that, what are they going to say to me? They pay somebody to do their shopping.
Absolutely.
You know?
So you know what? From all these comments and our podcast before, when I see on our podcast clip that I have seen, and you know in our emails, one thing across all generations, the concern is often less about AI.
Right.
Okay, they speak in AI and they mention AI and jobs and and costs and this and that and the future. But right now, the more focus is versus AI is the more about the financial stability.
Right.
Okay, such as like you said, right? The higher housing cost, raising rents, student debt, competition for entry-level jobs, right? And fear that education may not guarantee any security for the future, right? So at the current time, all generation reporting applying for jobs outside their education or their experience, right? All of them, majority of them trying, simply to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And one comment was, I'm not sure, it was a gentleman or a young lady, was said on that comment, I just received a paycheck and I have $20 in bank account after paying all the bills.
Right.
It's astounding for me. It's very frightening. So I'm not wondering that people getting skeptical, younger people specifically, they get very frustrated. But I still have a huge belief that they can manage, because we spoke before again about, that communication style, right, for the AI. And some of them have questioning also, how I can adjust myself, right? What can I do? How I can survive, right? And as I read, some articles in Europe, that makes any sense to you when I say that, yes, AI is not perfect and we cannot sit back and think, okay, AI take all our jobs. Right? They can't.
No.
I cannot see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. And like what I do see is that AI is going to take away a lot of the entry level jobs. It's going to force people to learn the different AI programs so that they can do their work like tasks faster. That's where I see AI going. The other thing we're probably going to see is manufacturing. There's a lot of manufacturing, and this has been happening for years, where they're going to robots and machines that actually make a lot of intricate parts and things like that, where the jobs there I can see are going to be the standby people to make sure that the automation is working correctly.
Right.
So that's where I see a lot of things going.
Absolutely, and no doubts, but yes, the workforce would be less.
Yes.
So we will have to concentrate all generations and finding connections between AI and the humanity. So bottom line, since nobody has any answer to us how, and nobody's working on it yet because it's fresh, right? Everybody's kind of in shock, and company just taking advantage of it to cut positions and save money. I see that AI can assist us learning, but in the real world, experience and human decision making are still essential for someone to develop their career. So we will have to build some education for them.
They're going to need to build skills regarding
absolutely,
that, for sure.
Absolutely. So if someone wants to become a strong communication specialist in the AI era, I think you guys need to really reach out and check what will be the most important factors, right? And the European articles that I have read have strictly said this, you should focus, guys, on combination of communication, technology, psychology, and the business skills. And the first thing that came to light was core communication classes, which is public speaking, business communication, blah, blah, or psychology and human behavior, because you need to know how they're going to react to the AI system. And then is a lot of other things like AI and the technology, which is also, very important to communicate about the AI to the other ones. So bottom line, they will be the positions available, but again, like I said previously, that construct the bridge between technology and humanity. So that's, I think, we have to focus, right? But, funny, I spoke to my hairdresser, right, the other day, and I said, what do you think about all this AI? How many, hairdresser salons we have here with us in Las Vegas? Does AI will replace, a hairstylist? And she says, well, surprising to me, says, well, I don't know. They have some salons, the machines in Japan that already cut the hair, color the hair. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I would not. So we still have the positions that we want to have touch and feel, right? We will not go to therapist or a physical therapy to listen to AI what to do, because we have someone with the eyes on us, how we feel and how we're doing something, right? So hopefully that. So to bottom line, to summarize everything, the future communications specialists will be very important. So when I can advise to all these millennials and maybe Gen Z, because we don't have as hard time, right, to communicate. But you need to agree that millennials and Gen Z has a hard time to express themselves and communication.
Because they're missing that socialism aspect of their era of technology.
Yes.
So that is huge.
So see, now it's flipping. They have to go back. Yes.
Like, it's important that you understand people and like how to read a room and all of that stuff.
Right, how to read the posture of a person. We have been taught, right? How the hands are folded, the face expressions, right?
Communication is 70% body language.
So
it's not even verbal communication.
So it's quite interesting, right? That you get it as a Gen Xers and myself as well. But I think millennials, some of them will see, maybe the old-fashioned millennials, but Gen Z doesn't understand that the process that you have to be friendly. You have to be approachable. So saying that, I met today a very sweet Gen Z person when shopping, and she has that tattoo and she has that earring in her nose, and I have watched her for quite a while, I think a couple of years now, working in the same grocery store, and she's always working, always friendly, always smile on the face. And today morning when I walked in and I have seen her again, and I said, hey, how you doing? And she says, I'm doing fine. I says, it's so good to see you working. I have been coming here for a long time. She says, I know, you come in here often as well. And just that approach to Gen Z and having her so proud, telling me this fact she told me, I have been promoted.
Wow.
And now I'm manager of the frozen section, so I do not have to work at the cashier. So she was so proud of that step. And then on that young age, 20 or 20 something, or the just 20, and I'm sorry if I don't remember that girl listened to us today. I told her about that generation Mingle. I told her about the jobs available, because she mentioned to me, I want to be an engineer.
Right.
And I would like to work for the unions, and I want to be an engineer, and I want to do something better with my life. And I said, congratulations, this is fantastic. It's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because we have been just talking about this. So that was kind of my...
But on the flip side of that too, though, is even engineering is being affected by AI, because that's one of the things they're talking about is a lot of the things within engineering are going to go AI. So we got to be careful of what engineering you're going to decide to go into, right?
And this is why I told her, listen to the podcast. I have a top, jobs that actually involve engineering. But many people, when you say engineering, people think in computer.
Oh,
right?
right.
But this
Well,
is
I
not
think of buildings,
yes,
but yeah.
yes. But this is a different factors of
Right.
engineering. Like extremely popular right now is the
Software
center,
engineers, yeah.
the centers
Yeah.
of the memory systems that they're building. Like one they
Right.
building here in Reno that is very popular, and
Right.
they're coming up everywhere. So
Yeah.
those engineers are, required also for the installers, for the solar installers, the wind,
Right.
wind whatever, electricity support and stuff like that. So I think that's what she precisely meant. But you have to be very specific,
Oh,
right?
very.
What? But just to guys to wrap up, if you like our topic, please keep on going with those comments because that's what keep us going. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you like us, give us thumbs up, subscribe. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok is for free, and let us know what other topic you want to talk about. Okay. We here not to judge, we just advise and pull all the informations together and give you some research out there that we're finding out. Thank you, Suzette, for stopping by.
Thank you.
And guys, keep your music loud, okay? Your Wi-Fi strong, and your conversation or the argument just strong enough to keep on mingle. Thank you, guys.